I still do. I have a lot of love for Professor Soyinka. I admire him. I respect him as a thinker, as a writer. I think everyone should read The Man Died. And Ake, his memoir, is beautiful, right? But at the same time, I disagree very strongly with him about this particular issue. And actually, because I respect Professor Soyinka so much, I went back and watched the interview. I had watched it when it aired initially, but I went back and watched it because I thought, am I missing something? And I think fascist is a really strong word. You know, fascist actually often makes me think of Mussolini's Italy. But I think we use it now, you know, sort of to address this kind of authoritarianism that's often populist and right-wing, you know, like in Hungary, and even the former American president. And when you look at those situations, you can see why they have been termed fascist. And I did not see any reason that Mr. Dati Baba Ahmed's interview would have been termed fascist. You know, I think he was making a very strongly felt point about the elections. What he was saying, which again I thought seemed fairly reasonable, is that if our democracy is rooted in our constitution, and you then swear in a person who's been elected unconstitutionally, then you are in fact ending democracy. Who's been elected unconstitutionally, then you are in fact ending democracy. I think it's quite a reasonable position. Of course, we can argue about what that bit in the Constitution means, right? And I'm actually grateful for this whole election period because it's made me read things I probably never would have, such as the Nigerian Constitution, and also made me have quite a few suggestions for editing. But anyway, I think now we're talking about what does "and" mean, right? So Mr. Dati Baba Ahmed is saying that it's, you know, 2/3 and the FCT, and that's separate. And it's a reasonable argument. You know, "and" is a conjunction. We use it in that context often to mean plural, right? So we say Aisha and Yemi are coming. And we don't say Aisha and Yemi is coming. That's because they're two separate things, two separate entities. And of course the court will interpret, but I don't think it's unreasonable for educated Nigerians who can read and who know what the word "and" means to make their own interpretations and to argue it. And of course, the fact that the Labour Party is in court means that they do not believe that this election is constitutional. And so I just didn't, I didn't quite see why it would be termed fascist. I mean, we could, I think a charitable way of reading Professor Soyinka's comment is that Professor Soyinka himself, I think it's fair to say that he is not given to restraint in language in general. And so maybe that's where that word fascist came from. However, I have suggestions for what we could use fascist for. We could use fascist for INEC, because as it is right now, many Nigerians feel deeply cheated by INEC, deeply disenfranchised by INEC. And there's an authoritarianism, which obviously is the basis of fascism, at the center of manipulating an election. Because what you're doing is you're gagging people, you're forcibly taking away their voice. That is fascist. Fascist is all of the violence.
The man who Nigerians actually voted for, the man who actually won this election, he should desist. Himself and FFK, Femi Fani Kayode, they should desist from assassinating the character of this wonderful, prestigious young man. The man who actually led the Labour Party to the presidential polls, the flag bearer of the election, presidential election. They don't have the monopoly of issuing vituperations, invectives on this character. We also want to call on the Honorable Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. His recent onslaught in the United States of America, engaging the international press, moving from one press station to another, all to discredit one of the principal contender of the 23 presidential general election, that just took place. Nigerians were robbed from the polls. Nigerians were robbed of their mandates. As Vote Must Count initiative indicates, our vote must count. Our mandate must be restored. Our mandate must be restored. We have continually called on the federal government to disband the transition committee that has been set up by the president, with Boss Mustafa as the head of that transition committee. That committee should be replaced with an interim government to ensure a smooth sail of the presidential litigation. That is our stand. And finally, I round up with this. The Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, Nigerian judiciary in its entirety is on trial. This is an opportunity for the judiciary to resurrect its integrity and realign with other nations where justice is actually for the common man and not for the highest bidder. So we call upon the judiciary to watch history with posterity before them. Try in as much as possible to launder the almost battered image of the arm of government that is most useful to the Nigerian people. Please, your integrity is on trial. Try in as much as possible to be fair in adjudicating the presidential litigation. Vote Must Count initiative will continue to stand on the path of truth as it remains an political organization. Our vote must count. Thank you.
I am Ogedengwe Ayodele Monday. I am the president of Global Center for Leadership and Good Governance. We have of recent seen our country slide to a failed state with the kind of kangaroo election that is conducted by the INEC as supervised by Mahmoud Yakubu. Therefore, with this quagmire, a lot of people have come with different suggestions. Just like the way the doctrine of necessity was manufactured in National Assembly to bring in President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to power when, in the demise of the death of our late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, the call or the suggestion for